Hello my friend and welcome back. My name is Hannah and today is my last video of this series where I'm showing you what I'm ending 2021 with and what I'm coming into 2022 with. But today, last but not least, is the eyeshadow palettes that I have. I will include some of my individual eyeshadows. I'm not a big individual eyeshadow purchaser, consumer, that kind of thing, but I just do want to have accountability for all the eyeshadows that I do have in my collection. So if I do ever do a declutter, I can kind of keep a timeline of how long things have been in my collection. So if you're interested on anything that I'm wearing on my face, most of these items I've used in other videos, so I will have a lot of these I have first impressions on, so all you have to do is go to my channel and then just type in the search bar the exact product you're looking for and it should pop up. I think should I make a playlist for first impressions? That's a note for me later. But I'm gonna flip you guys around so you can see. It's gonna be a little bit chaotic because I have quite a few eyeshadows. Now you can see my tabletop. I don't have a place where I really store my eyeshadow palettes on my vanity. I don't really have my everyday kind of eyeshadow palette. If I do have any palette on my vanity, it's because I either use it that day or I plan to use it tomorrow. And it's usually just one. I mean, sometimes this tabletop gets pretty messy, but that's a different conversation. So how do these aren't all of my palettes. I'll have to shift around because they won't all fit on here. At the same time, it'll be too chaotic. The ones in this basket are my ones from my first impressions or ones that I need to give a final review of because I've had them for a month. And it helps me organize them and have easier access to them. So these aren't real, that's why they're in this basket. And it helps me store it on my one shelf in the back that you guys see in every video. Otherwise, where do I want to start? Let's start with my individual shadows, which are right here. These I maybe will reach for, I don't know, it just all depends. But I'll start with the smaller ColourPop quad because I know this isn't an individual shadow, but because it's so small, it's easier for me to store with my individuals rather than my palettes because I'll lose it. But this is a very cute pink neutral kind of tone. These metallic shades are really, really pretty. These matte shades are really, really gorgeous. I mean, these two tones look very similar to what I have in the ColourPop cheek palette. This particular color story isn't something that I'm necessarily gravitated towards, but I don't hate it. It's just a very safe pink neutral look. I have other palettes where I enjoy the pinks more, but this isn't a bad formula. It's really, really good, and if I liked these ones so much, it makes me want to try the other ones from the Zodiac collection. I think they have a new stone collection that they just announced, so I'm interested in trying them. But I really do enjoy these metallic shades. I think they're very, very nice. And where do I go from here? Let's keep it with ColourPop. So I got the trio, the Jelly So Much, or is that what these are called? Jelly Much eyeshadows, and they're just of a jelly texture. This one is obviously very pink. This one is more of a deep purple. And then this one is I don't know. This one is an iridescent shade almost. It's brown and green and pink all at once. It's very, very pretty. I like to use this one to kind of make different greens or matte shades kind of more iridescent. These are very wonderful bases. I did do a first impression of these where I did use them more as just eyeshadows. They're very, I don't know, these are very versatile, and I didn't think that I would enjoy this formula as much as I do. These particular shades, these two, I can see myself using a lot. This pink one I kind of have to work with because it's a very neon pink, and I like to use more mid-tone, softer kind of pinks, but you can put those shades on top of this one. It just gives you a very I don't know, I want to say cyberpunk. It just gives you a very vivid kind of pink look, but they're very pretty. I enjoy these. Still keeping it with ColourPop, I have these two Super Shock shadows. This first one is in Dream Lover, and it's just like this metallic, like purple blue kind of shade. I love this one in like the springtime. It's really, really pretty. This is a gorgeous color. And then this one I haven't really used so much, but it's Decaf. Apparently this is like a fan favorite because when it restocked, so many people were excited. I don't even think I've really played with this. I think I've only swatched it, but it just seems like a nice neutral brown. Again, like I have browns in other palettes that I might reach for, so I tend to kind of forget about this one, but I tend to forget a lot about my individual shadows in general. I do have this Natasha Denona single. This is from the Zendo palette. This is in the shade Scents, and I got this as a Sephora, I don't know, you could add it to your order kind of thing. I love this. This is what got me to buy the Love palette and the Retro palette from Natasha Denona, because I loved this one metallic brown. I used it every time I did a look. I used it as like a shadow liner. I used it all over my lid as like a one go. This is like so pretty. I want to purchase the Zendo palette, or maybe the mini Zendo. I know this shade in particular is in the larger Zendo palette. I love this. I think even when the Retro palette came out, they had another individual one. I didn't pick that one up because I knew I was going to buy the palette. But just a heads up, if Natasha Denona is releasing those larger palettes, sometimes they will have these little minis. So you just go to the sale option and you'll have to put in that promo code and you can add it to your basket. These two are my oldest eyeshadows of all time. I don't know, I never want to declutter these because I love them so much. This was like my first dip into modern makeup, I think. When I say modern, I say 2016 because for me that's modern. But these are the Urban Decay this one's Solstice and this one is Lounge. But these were like the first like duochromes, I think, to really like hit the market. This one is like a red blue multi-chrome, because there's like, it's a red base, but then there's a blue and green like glitter in there that's so pretty, and like the shift in it is just gorgeous. And then this one is like a green to brown, kind of reminds me of like a lizard. And it's so pretty. These are, like I said, these are so old because I think I got these in 2016, but I truly refuse to get rid of them because I love them so much. Urban Decay has re-released these in new packaging. I believe both shades are available. So I've been kind of debating on picking them up because I think they're the same formula. I would hope so, because I really, really loved these. And 2016, I wasn't really doing makeup, but I would use one shade over my entire lid. And that's how I would do my makeup, with like mascara and maybe an eyeliner. That's so crazy to me. I wouldn't do that now, but maybe I would. I don't know. So those are my Urban Decay ones. Don't judge me. And then I have these three Stila liquid eyeshadows, and look. This one is maybe one of my favorite ones. What is this? Yellowtail. I love this as a shimmer topper. I love this with my yellow eyeshadows. It is so gorgeous. It's so pretty. I'll use it as an inner corner highlight. You can use it as a base, but like I use it more as like a shade topper, if I'm being honest. It's so, so gorgeous. It's like the perfect kind of yellow. I don't want to get into swatching, but like it's just, I don't know how to explain it because it's not gold. It's truly yellow. And it's so soft and so pretty, and I love it. I got this at TJ Maxx over the summer, and I've loved it since. I really reached, like, these two in the summertime were really my all-time favorite. And then I have this one, and I finally have been using this more because I got another eyeshadow palette, but this one is in something blue. This is my favorite kind of like soft blue. I think it matches my skin tone the best. When I'm looking for a blue eyeshadow, this is the kind of blue I want to use. It's just a true blue, and it's It's just so pretty. I don't know if this is like really a pastel, but when I think of blue, this is the kind of blue I think of. And then this one is in Pigalle, Pigalle. I'm gonna say that's Pigalle. This is just a maroon red. I have this because I want to do like a really goth red look. If you know how to do goth makeup, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I just want to make it look like my eyeballs are bleeding, but like all the way around. So I want to use this as a base. It's just like a really nice, I don't know, like red. It would seem like a very nice red base tone. I think these are really pretty. I wish I remembered these more and utilized them a bit more, but I think I tend to reach for these, like at least these two more in like the spring and summertime. This one, I don't know. I don't think I've really used all that much, but I have high hopes. I do. And then these two, okay, I'm so scared to use these because when I swatched them and played with them a little bit, these are just samples, but these are from Tammy Tenuka from her Sigil Inspired. This one is in shade Wood Sorrel, and it's like this like loose metallic green that's so pretty. And then she gave me another set. It's in Russian, I can't read it, but it's like, I've got to be careful because these tones are so pretty, but it's her loose pigments, and I think I want to buy the fuller size because these are so pretty. And I don't know anything about loose pigments, like at all. I just know eyeshadow palettes, but these are so pretty. And when I see people use the loose shadows and they do their looks and they post them on Instagram, they're so pretty. I love this as an inner corner highlight, but because this is only a sample, I'm so afraid I'm gonna like burn through it. I don't know, like, will this amount of like loose shadows last me a long time? Let me know. I just feel like I'm messy and would ruin it. Let me open this one for you because it's just so cute. And I don't know if this is part of like another collection, but look at that. It's just this beautiful mint green. Ugh. Love it. I really love Sigil Inspired. I really am happy that I took a chance on that brand this year because I would definitely purchase from them again. Absolutely beautiful. So let me tuck these ones to the side so I can get into the chaos that is my eyeshadow palettes. I'll start with this small set here because these are just like my smaller shadows or my smaller palettes. This one is a Soft Glam 2. I got this one because I didn't know if I really wanted the whole Soft Glam palette because it was just a neutral palette, and I think this one had like the shades that I was interested in. It has Sultry, it has Tempera, it has Orange Soda. I think the only shade I haven't really dipped into is this black one here, and that's only because when I use this palette, it's like as a companion palette to other looks, and I have black shadows in a bunch of palettes, so I don't know, but I really do enjoy this. It makes me want the Soft Glam too, like the full size, but if I'm not reaching into this one as often, I doubt that I would reach into the larger one, but I think this is a nice addition to have. This is my Nabla Cutie. This is the Berries palette. I've talked about this so many times. This Alchemy 2.0 shade is like my favorite duochrome of all time. This is a really, really good berry palette. I will say though that this Venom shade will stain your eyelids if you don't use a primer, because it stained mine. And then Botanic Juice, I can't remember if that stained me either. I don't think it did. I think it's just the Venom one. I don't know. I thought I was getting sick or I had like a rash or something, but it's just because it stained my lid. This is the Juvia's Place, the Rebel Grays. I really enjoyed this gray palette. I don't have anything like this. Like, I don't have any of these gray tones. And I know gray and yellow were the Pantone colors of the year for 2021. I think this is a nice addition to have. I don't reach for this as often, but I don't really plan on decluttering it. These are really nice shadows. I wish though that these two weren't really metallic. I wish one of these was like, I wish this one here was just like a matte shade. because I don't know, these three all kind of look very similar on the lid. Like they have like especially these two. These two look the most the same. This one at least comes off like a little bit more silver white kind of gray. These two look very, very similar. So I don't know. I wish one of them was just like a more true matte, especially this darker one down here, but that's the only thing I would change about that. Little Ray of Sunshine. This is one of my favorite yellow palettes from ColourPop. I don't think I have too many monochromatic palettes. I don't think, like, I didn't really fall into that trend. I don't think anyway. Because for me, I don't really reach into a lot of palettes when I do my makeup. At most, it would be 2, and that's also including when I'm doing like my anime cosplay looks. I tend to post more videos like that, but that's for a different video. But this one is just so nice. You can make it neutral. Well, it's obviously a neutral palette with some yellows in it, but I think it's just really, really pretty. And for an all matte shade, this is really nice. I really love this one as an inner corner highlight. This is one of my favorite yellows. These two transition shades, I think I've used a number of times with the different palettes because they are so nice. So I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if ColourPop discontinued this one just to release something similar, but I don't know. I feel like this is one of those older ColourPop palettes that I'm like, oh, I'm surprised that it's still here because, I don't know. I feel like they just kind of phase them out fairly quickly. This one I'm super excited for. This is the BH Opal palette. This was the opals or the palette for the month of October. This is my favorite pastel blue, and I love to pair it like these two together. A dream made in heaven, truly. They're so gorgeous, and I love this orange. I love this pink. These more metallic shades are really, really pretty. I think this palette is just so gorgeous, and like these shades complement this duochrome. And this is a pressed glitter, but the pressed glitter, like the pigments that you get all these other shades in there, and it's white. But the glitter itself, like, I don't know, it's just, this was a very good palette. I really enjoy this. I don't have anything else like this in my collection. And this is also another one of those palettes where if I'm looking to do like a more brighter eye or build up a shade, this is the palette that I'm reaching for. This is the Sailor Moon ColourPop palette. This has been out for a while. I mean, I don't reach for this as often. I might in the springtime when like I'm really drawn to these colors again, I think. But I think that the metallic like matte shades in here aren't like the best formula. There are some pressed glitters. And then, I don't know, like the rest of it's just kind of neutral. I really do like this purple shade here though. And like this yellow with this one, I really enjoy together. I think they look really cute. But I don't know. I kind of will forget that I have this palette, but I don't plan on decluttering it because it's Sailor Moon. Oh, this one is an all-time favorite. It's my Lizzie McGuire What Dreams Are Made Of palette. Like, look at this. I love the greens, the pinks, and the purples. You'll see that a lot of my favorite eyeshadow palettes have that same color scheme. But I do think that the more metallic mattes in here are of the better formula. I really love this like Dear Diary shade. It is so pretty. And the outfit Rememberer right here is just so gorgeous. I think this is a really good palette. I really do enjoy this one. This is another ColourPop palette. This is a So Very Lovely palette. I got this one over the Freya palette because I thought they were going to look similar, because for a while I was attracted to any palette that had these two tones in there. Again, a pink and a purple. But this is just I don't see too many people really talking about this palette, and it makes me sad because I think that the mattes in here are just so gorgeous and so buildable, and I don't really see really deep tones like this. So you can't, like, especially in a ColourPop palette, because they'll usually have like this, you know, and I like to have a bit more drama, so I like to have deeper tones where I can build them up. And this is just, I mean, I'm not someone that follows like you have to use pastels in spring. If you want to use pastels in winter, by all means, do what you want to do. I just think this is one of those palettes that you can use year round, because it is a neutral with some pops of colors, but you can shift it in however you would need it to work for you. So So I think it's a really good one. I think this whole collection was pretty good because even the Super Shocks that came out with this collection are my favorite and I use daily. I don't know, this is like a sleeper palette. Not too many people are talking about this. And then my Lime Crime Prelude Exposed palette. I just can't get rid of it. I don't know. I don't think that these particular shadows are wonderful. They are kind of dry. They very much remind me of my Matrix palettes. And if you've been watching any of my videos, you know how I feel about those Matrix palettes. We will talk about them later. This Aphrodisia shade is like a duochrome. Like, I don't know, but it's weird because it's like a matte duochrome. It just has like this shit, like, I don't know if you can really see. It just has like this shift of color that's really pretty. This one I think is supposed to be more of like a cream to matte formula because this is like the softest one in the palette. I want to make this palette work for me. I really do. I really do enjoy it. I love the packaging. I love the theming. Am I holding on to it right now just because of the packaging? Probably. I don't know. How do you mess up neutrals? Or maybe I just don't know anything. This one right here, this Flush shade, my problem is that like once you start putting them on top of each other, like it just, you try to build them up and they turn white. Well, I guess maybe not in swatches. I don't know. Maybe I need a better eyeshadow base. Maybe that's the problem. So I'm still holding on to this one. I'm going to move these to the side. There we go. And then let's talk about the ones in the basket now. Sure. So these are the only two that are in the basket that I don't really have, like they're just there because I needed to put them somewhere. But these are my two Natasha Denona palettes. This is the Love palette. I believe this is discontinued because it's been on sale and I think it's out of stock everywhere. Again, pinks and purples, and now there's red tones in here. This is a beautiful palette. I really, really enjoy this. I'm sorry if you didn't get your hands on it. But I wouldn't be surprised if she came out with another kind of color scheme like this for Valentine's Day, question mark. I really wouldn't. I don't think it would be the exact same, but it might be like the Love 2.0. I don't know. It's a gorgeous palette. And then this is my absolute favorite, my retro palette. These are one of my favorite kind of like berry tones, neutral tones. These are the kind of pinks and browns that I gravitate towards the most because in my day-to-day makeup, this is a palette that I would reach for. Over like other things, this is a palette that I would try to use for other things, even if like, I don't know, like I would try to use this one for a cosplay just because I know that I love these shadows so much. So if I can try to use these to kind of like contour my eyes, sometimes it doesn't work, but it doesn't hurt to try. I really love this Mod shade as an inner corner highlight. I think I've said that before. This is just a beautiful palette. So if you had your eyes on it, I would say, please pick it up. If you have the means. You don't have to spend that kind of money on eyeshadow palettes if you don't want to. So let me move these ones out of the way so then I can get into the basket. So start with this one. This is my Harbinger palette from Game Beauty. I love this palette. I wish that I knew more how to do more dramatic looks. I don't think my makeup skill is there yet. I've heard some people say that the color story kind of intimidates people because they don't quite know what to do with it. They kind of fall into the same kind of color story. But when I look at this, I definitely think of so many different video games that I've played ever. I'm thinking of Diablo right now specifically when I look at this. But that's probably because like that's such a Diablo looking cover. Anyway, I love this. I love this. This is also one of those palettes where like one or two shades like works for me. The black in here, this Doom shade, you really can build up other shadows with this. I haven't reached for this one all that much just because I've had other palettes come into my collection, but I really enjoy this. So like when I have the chance to play with this again, I definitely am. Oh, we love this one. This is my sigil inspired. This is the Toad Chestnut Toad palette. This is just such a beautiful palette. This metallic green right here is so gorgeous. This metallic like peachy tone right here, very, very beautiful. The matte tones, gorgeous. I love this palette. I'm sad that my look kind of came out as dramatic as it has, because I've done some looks off of camera that I'm so mad I wasn't actually filming. I love this formula. I think it's so good. This is maybe one of my favorite indie brands. Like, the whole experience makes me happy. This is just such a magical, cute little palette. I really do enjoy it. This is my other Nabla Cutie palette. This is the Analog palette. This is by far my favorite neutral palette. I paired this one with a lot of other looks because I'll use this 35mm as like an inner corner highlight. I love this overexposed, and this darkroom shade is like a cream to powder kind of formula. Why did I draw a blank on that? I love this. This one paired with the retro palette, like these shades paired with the retro palette, you can really take it to like a different level. They're just gorgeous, gorgeous shades. Love this palette. This is my Kailava, formerly known as Busey. Is it Busey Beauty? I think. This is my Kailava palette, formerly known as Busey Beauty. Is it Busey? This is volume 2 of their palette. I did a first impression of this, and I have the two like swatches of both palettes kind of compared. I haven't really reached for this as much since doing my first impression video of it. I have taken this Snapdragon shade and this Primrose shade and kind of did like a two shadow kind of look. This formula is very similar to the Lime Crime formula, but like if I had to put them in place, I would say this is like a gold, the Lime Crime formula is a silver, and then the Makeup Revolution formula is the bronze. I think this is a lot more easier to use. I just think that this formula is a bit drier and not as, like, these shades blend well within each other, but if you try to use another palette with it, it's a little bit difficult. It's not as dry and tuggy as the Makeup Revolution formula, but it's still in that Lime Crime formula. So I think if you like Lime Crime, you'll like this formula. This is the Nomad Home for the Holidays palette. This is one of my favorite shimmer palettes of all time. I don't really reach for shimmers all that much, but this Evander shade is really, really pretty. This red is so out of this world. I think it's so complimentary. Like, let me swatch it for you because it looks like, I don't know, it looks warm, but then like the glitter and the shimmer on it is cool, and like it is just such a complimentary red for so many types. Let me put it over this. I just want to rub it everywhere, really. It is such a pretty, pretty shade. I don't know. My hands are dirty now. This is such a pretty shade, and I think it complements everybody's like skin. Like, I think this complements so many different skin tones, so many different skin types. It's just, it's gorgeous. And I really do enjoy this entire palette. I'm so happy to have it in my collection. I'm so happy that this is a gift from a friend, because every time I reach for it and I see the dogs, and I know that this is like their holiday Christmas palette, whatever, but this is a beautiful, beautiful palette. Oh, this is another favorite of mine. This is the Plush Like Me palette from ColourPop. This is a sleeper palette. I think I've said that before. I had this in my ranking video, I believe, of like favorite products. I don't need to say more. This is so, so gorgeous. Really one of my favorite palettes. This one and the So Very Lovely, I think, are sleeper palettes of 2021. This one is a newer one to my collection, and I'm not really, like, I'm doing a first impression for me. because this palette has been out for a while, but this is the Odin's Eye Alva palette. Again, it is the like pinks and purples, and I really wanted this yellow. I think this is a beautiful palette. I do kind of run into a lot of the shades looking kind of similar, kind of running into a lot of the same looks. What really would make a look different are the shimmer shades in here. This Dahlia and Lilac shades have been my absolute favorite. I even love this Dandelion shade. I put this one on to like watch The Witcher. It is so pretty. I love Odin's Eye, and I'm glad this was my first experience with them because I think that their formulas and their palettes have only gotten better, and I think this is really, really good. Really, really good. So I don't know. I might pick up something from the Freya palette because I've had my eye on it, or I'm going to wait until they have a new release. I don't know. Or maybe pick up something from the Norns palette or collection. Just really, really pretty. Really enjoy this. And then this is the now Unearthly Cosmetics, but this is going to say Alien Cosmetics, but this is the Fall Magic palette, and I loved that. Like my last week of work, I wore this palette a lot, and I don't really wear makeup to work ever, but it's so easy to throw on shades like Change over your lid, or you could do like Cozy and then Change on top, or Spiced and Magic on top. This is just a very beautiful palette. I really enjoy the formula from Alien Cosmetic, or excuse me, Unearthly Cosmetics. I'm waiting, like, I don't know. Some of their palettes, I already have those color stories. Like they came out with the Dark Castle palette. I don't know if it's called the Dark Castle, but that's what the packaging looks like. And it's limited edition for the holidays. And it's just like a blue and black kind of palette. I love the packaging, but I think I'm going to wait until like a color story really calls to me the way that this one did. Otherwise, I do think it's a really beautiful formula. If you were drawn to any of those color stories, I would say go for it. Spend your money on it. It's really, really good if you had something that you needed to replace. But if you already have a lot of those like repeat shades, I don't know. I just don't like to have a lot of repeat palettes because I know I'll reach for one more than the other, and then why did I spend my money on it? This is the Melt Mariposa palette. I love this one. I love that this is, I think, a palette that's going to transcend the year because it's not really like a Christmas holiday palette. You can make it spring, you can make it autumn, you can make it winter. Like, I don't know, it's just a really beautiful palette. I really enjoy this. I think the tones are really, really great. I'm so happy to finally have like Melt Red palette or red shadows. I think these are my favorite red shadows that I've used, and I'll pair it with that shimmer shade from the Nomad Cosmetics, and it's really, really cool. And I don't really like red a whole lot, but I love these shadows. This is just a wonderful formula. I'm really happy to have this in my collection. And then finally, the last one in the basket is my Nomad Haunted Europe palette. Oh, I love this packaging. This is one of my favorite palettes. I can't wait to like dip into this one more. I love these yellows. I love these greens, and like this row right here, like these last two rows are kind of like what I make with my what's it called, a retro palette. Like it's kind of similar, kind of like berry neutral kind of tones. These are just like in a different like same tone, just in like a different part of the spectrum. These shade, like this row here makes a really beautiful look, this row here makes a really beautiful look, and then just even looking at it, like I can put other color stories together. This is a very fun palette for me. When I look at this, I'm very inspired to do different looks, and I love the Nomad formula. I think it's really good, and I'm so happy again that that was a gift from a friend. So let me put these guys back in their home. Ooh. So then I can take out my other palettes. How long is this video? Crazy long, too long. Okay, so now I'm going to, how am I gonna do this? Let me put my basket back. Okay, let's do it like this. Okay, and then these are my last like batches of palettes. Okay, let's start here and move our way this way. Perfect. This is my Naked Ultraviolet palette. Everyone seems to hate, like, I've never used the brush. Like, not once. Should I? I don't know. I just thought it was so cute. That's where it lives. I know a lot of people hate this palette. I love it. I didn't expect it to be like super matte or anything like that. These colors blend in a way with each other that is just very pretty. And like, again, I think this is exactly, how do I phrase this? I want to get the Cyber palette because I truly believe this one and the Cyber palette are supposed to be best friends, like they're partners forever. Because it definitely gives you that euphoric / cyberpunk kind of makeup look. It's so pretty. It's so pretty. It's not going to be super pigmented on your eye. It's just like, again, that wash of color. I don't know how to describe it, but when I play with this palette, I really do enjoy it. I love more so living like here. Very rarely am I here, but you can be. I just like living here. These ones I can do without, really, but I think it's a beautiful palette and I'm not getting rid of it anytime soon. I love this package. Like, I don't know, should I get the Cyber palette? I've heard only terrible things, but I don't need to be spending money like that. I don't. And then here is my Play-Doh's collection. I don't really know. I feel like I've talked about this time and time again. This is the Futurism 1 Sci-Fi Green. This is like discontinued, and I'm sorry to show you this if you really wanted it, but this has been my favorite grungy green palette of all time. It is so pretty. My favorite black matte, my favorite kind of mustardy tones, and then these are my favorite kind of grungy green tones. I love this. And then I have the Lunar Lavender. I believe this one is still available. Again, purples. And then I will pair it with my Sashimi City, which, again, pinks. Like, how many times have you seen this color story in this video? I think it started with these two palettes, really, because I love them so much, and I was just so drawn to those colors. I love these little palettes. I really, really do. I wish I had the entire set. There's like a red one that I might pick up, maybe. I don't know. I don't know if Play-Doh's is going to come out with another collection like this. I don't really know. If they did, I'm definitely going to pick it up. I love Play-Doh's. They're one of my favorite brands. This is their Flower Punk palette. I think I listed this in like my favorite shadows video. Again, like if you didn't get your hands on the Sci-Fi Green, like those are kind of like the similar tones in there. This is a beautiful palette. And then my Club Nebula palette. I'm sorry to show you this one too. This one is also discontinued. It's a beautiful palette. I don't know. It's a gorgeous palette. I think I've talked about these in my favorite palettes of 2021. These are gorgeous. Okay, and then this is my Norvina palette. I think this was like my first big palette after my Ultraviolet palette. And it's funny because they're both purple, but I love this pink and purple color story, but I wanted something with some neutrals in there. So I could play with brown eyeshadows, and I'm really happy to have this one. It is super pretty. I think it's a classic. I still reach for this one all the time. I will pair this one with the So Glam palette. I think they're very, very pretty. This base tone is really nice to soften out a lot of my shades. If I do go too heavy with them, I can kind of blend them out with this one. Okay, my camera battery died, so I'm not quite sure where I left off. Did we talk about the melt palettes? I said that the Shizen Parties is my favorite like berry tone palette because you can make it pastel, you can make it like dramatic, deep and grungy. This is a beautiful palette. This is my Gemini palette. I believe this one is discontinued. I don't reach for this one as often only because my Gemini shade is like a crumbly mess, as you can see. And I don't have this problem with the other shades. I know this one, like people were saying that like the palette or the shades were like, would puff and like come out of the palette. I don't have that problem. The only one that I have that problem with is this Gemini palette. People have kind of speculated because it's still listed on the Melt website, like that it's out of stock. I think it's been removed from the Sephora website. But they're speculating that they might just re-release this in a better formula. I don't know. But I have it. I love it. I just don't reach for it as often because I feel like this is my most fragile palette. And then this is the newest one to my collection. This is the Millennial Pinks. A lot of people don't like this palette, but I think it does exactly what it needs to do. I think this is iconic of what millennial makeup with a modern take is. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw more of this coming into 2022, but that was yesterday's video. This palette I've paired with my Ultraviolet palette, and I've really enjoyed it. I enjoy this kind of color story. I don't know. It's just, I can see where people don't like how these shadows perform because I think these shades and this palette in particular performs differently from the other Melt formulas, but I enjoy it. I don't know, maybe I'll make a video on like how I use this to do like more cyberpunk aesthetic makeup. And then I think that's it for this pile. Oh, so this is these are my BH Cosmetics ice cream palettes. These are the monochromatic palettes. This one's green, this one's red, this one is orange. I'll show you what they look like on the inside. Like, it's hard for me to really reach for these because they are monochromatic, but I know in the summertime when I want to do more like orange kind of look, or I don't know, when I'm feeling like Naruto really, that I like reach for this palette. I think it's really good. I enjoy the BH formula. I think these are really nice matte tones in here specifically. I reach for this pistachio one the most, if I'm being honest, but I really love a green eyeshadow. Like, this deeper green is really nice, and you can build this palette up to do, like, I don't know, if you watch Likely Makeup, how she does her kind of quote-unquote clown makeup, you could do that kind of look with this eyeshadow palette. But if you watch like Angie, you can do her more like smoky eye kind of look with this palette. It's just, I don't know, I think these are versatile. I think they're a good formula, and I really do enjoy them. I think the only one that, like, and I laugh because I just think of Zuko every time I reach for this palette. The only one I had like the most hardest time with was this one. But that's just because I don't know personally how to play with red eyeshadows in a complementary way. That's like a tone that's new for me. I have more like yellowy kind of undertones, and I feel like these tend to look more pink than they do red on me. I do love this deep red matte though. I can build up other shades. I just think, I don't know what kind of other red tones I have that I would need to use like that with. But even if I use this one, let's say I use this sprinkle shade with this wild cherry shade or even this tart shade, even though it's like a deeper red, these shades still come out very, very pink on me. And then these metallic shades, I don't know, it's just very pink. It's just, I wouldn't say this is a red monochromatic palette. I think it's like a pink with a twist monochromatic palette, but I still enjoy them. And then these are the last of my palettes. I don't know. I try to stack them in order of like size, you know, like how tall they are. And so that's why these ones are at the end. These are my two Matrix palettes. We all know how I feel about these. Like, they're just... I'm not going to get rid of them. I want to play with them. I want to try to enjoy them for what they are. Again, if I don't think about it too much and I just kind of throw shades on my eye, like one or two, like maybe a matte, and then just put like a shimmer as like a shade topper on, you know, over it, I tend to like it more. Again, the disappointment. Every time I open these, I want, like, they look so wonderful, but I'm just, every time I've played with them, just been so like, oh, why do these suck? But I'm going to keep them. I'm going to hold on to them. Maybe it's a reminder of never to fall for something like this again, but I enjoy them, sort of. Not really. I don't enjoy them. I just let me be ashamed in peace. Thank you. And then this is the Jeffree Star Orgy palette. This was like my first like big, because I think this was like when this came out, it was like $60. It's been on sale since then, since it's released, and I'm kind of mad that I got it at full price. But the only reason I purchased this one was because I didn't plan on ever buying bronzers and things. I never planned on buying bronzers, and I have like a whole dedicated video on them. I played with this palette a lot, and I still do. Here's the thing. This is my favorite palette for cosplay because these shadows, not using them as eyeshadows, but using them as contour, they stay on your face. And they're easy to blend, and they're complementary to your skin tone, and you can kind of like Manny's palette, how you can like build, like, the only reason I didn't get Manny's palette is because I don't really set and like use powder like that, but if I did, I already have this. So you can build these tones and blend them in. And these are like of the bigger eyeshadow pan, so it's easier to get like my face brush and stuff in there. Like it's not that big of a deal. But honestly, when I'm using them for contour, I do like to use my eyeshadow brushes because I need thinner, more precise lines to kind of build my face. I think this formula is nice. Have I found other formulas that I really enjoy? Yes. I'm not like in a hurry to go and purchase other Jeffree Star palettes. I'm not like, you know, he releases a lot of monochromatic palettes, and like I said, I'm not a huge fan of the monochromatic palettes. Not that I don't think that they serve a purpose, it's just I'm someone that plays more with like color stories and the kind of, when I am doing my makeup kind of thing, I like to have a variety of color. I'm not really doing monochromatic looks. So I don't know, this is just a versatile palette for me in that I use this for my cosplay. I haven't really used it so much for my day-to-day makeup because I have other neutral palettes that like kind of give me a similar color story. And it's hard because I would definitely have to pull in another palette because these are all mattes. He does have like the smaller one that is just like the metallic shimmer palette, whatever. But I mean, and like look at how big this thing is. For me to pull out like, I don't know, something like this, that's already a lot of palettes. So it's just already a lot of space. So like I said, this is just more of like I think this is perfect if you are learning, if you want to contour your face. I think this is the perfect palette because these shadows are forgivable in that you can lay them down and blend them out and build them up how you need to. Like, I love that they're buildable, so you can go in light-handed and build up the intensity to what you need it to be. And like I said, you can go into multiple shades to build up the kind, because they have cooler tones, they have warmer tones, they have deeper tones. I think for that purpose, I like this. Otherwise, I don't know. I'm not like, I don't stan Jeffree Star. I'm not like, oh, everybody should love him. Like, I understand. I get it. But I have it in my collection. And so I think that's where I'm going to end it because I think those are all of my eyeshadows. Let me know in the comments down below, which eyeshadow palettes do you have? Which ones do you not have that you wish you had? Would you declutter any of these? Maybe you feel differently. I'm okay with ending my year with these palettes. I think I have a lot of quality products, or excuse me, a lot of quality palettes in my collection, things that I would be reaching for, things that aren't necessarily, I know I was joking about the pink and purple color stories, but I don't think that I have a lot of like repeat shades, like maybe repeat like color families, but they're not necessarily exactly the same shade. My biggest regret out of my eyeshadow palettes are these ones and like this Lime Crime one. But even then, they're not, this one isn't terrible. This one, on the other hand, I don't know. We all know how I feel about these palettes. I just, I want to, I'm so sad. Look, Makeup Revolution, can you call me? I need to have a conversation with you about these palettes because they very, very much have upset me. And I think they've probably upset a lot of other people, and I just can't get over it. But like I said, let me know in the comments down below. And thank you for joining me on this series and everything that I'm ending my year with. I look forward to next year to see what's new, what's changed, what's gone. I don't know. Here's to 2022. I will see you guys in tomorrow's video. Bye.